Hey, I'm Ryan, this is my brother Daniel, and this is Roles in the Family, and today we are reviewing Tichu, a climbing partnership card game for 4 players.
And if you have a consistent group of 4 that enjoys more traditional card games but want something fresh with a great depth of strategy, then Tichu should definitely be on your radar. And as always, we've got a link to Tichu down below if you want to check it out for yourself, but let's jump into the review.
Tichu is played in 2 teams of 2, where you and your partner are working together to shed all of the cards from your hand first, while winning points along the way. One player will lead a set of cards from their hand, and play proceeds around the table with players either playing a higher set of the same type or passing. Once all players have passed, whoever played the last and highest set takes all of the cards and leads a new set. Once a player empties their entire hand, play continues until only one player or one team has cards remaining. The round is then scored, with rounds repeating until one team reaches 1,000 points.
A lot of the decision-making in Tichu stems from the variety of set types that can be led. You can play a single, a pair, 3 of a kind, a full house, a sequential run of at least 5 cards, or even sequential pairs such as 2-2, 3-3, 4-4. Whatever type is led must be matched exactly when playing higher sets that round, so there's a lot of strategy in how to break up your own hand, as well as how you dictate which set types the other players can play. Happen to have a 4 of a kind or a straight flush? Either can be played as bombs, sets that can be played out of turn regardless of what was led and can only be beaten by larger bombs.
One of the things that really spices up the decision space is the inclusion of 4 special cards on top of the standard 52 card deck. The Mahjong determines the round's start player, but also is the only card with a value of 1 and allows the player to wish for a card that must be played at the next legal opportunity by any player. The Dragon is the highest single card, causing players to be tentative with their aces if they don't know who has it. And the Phoenix can either be a half point above a single or used as a wild in a multi-card set, making it the most flexible card in the game. Finally, the Dog must be led, but passes the lead to your partner, helping them to play without winning a trick themselves.
While a lot of your focus is on how to play your own hand effectively, the partnership aspect of Tichu creates a lot of interesting decisions where you're trying to deduce the position of your partner and how to best support them. Your awareness of other players is boosted by the pre-round passing of cards, where you will pass 1 card from your hand to each other player. This is your one opportunity to communicate directly with your partner, and sometimes passing a card like the Dragon is powerful, as both of you and your partner now know who holds it while the other team is in the dark.
There are 100 points up for grabs in each hand, but the scoring becomes much more interesting once you consider that both you and your partner going out before either opponent results in double victory, which overrides the normal scoring with a dominating result of 200-0. Additionally, any player that hasn't played a card yet has the opportunity to call Tichu, betting 100 points that they will go out first. Not only does this raise the stakes, guaranteeing a big 100-point swing either up or down, but it changes the entire feel of the round, as all players know the player called Tichu and can adjust their play accordingly.
Some editions of Tichu include variants ranging from 3 to 10 players, but we recommend it solely as a 4-player game, and anything else pales in comparison. There's no real theme here, just a traditional deck of cards and a few special cards, all with a stylized Asian aesthetic. Card games generally bring a level of luck, and while that's true here, there is a surprising amount of depth where skillful play tends to win out in the long run.
Tichu is very interactive. Not only is everyone playing cards onto a common climbing pile, but there are also a lot of strategic considerations in the dynamics of the partnership play and whether a player has called Tichu. You have to love a game where the setup is simply shuffle and deal.
While the core climbing mechanism in Tichu tends to be somewhat familiar to new players, there are just a lot of extra layers here that can be hard to grasp without repeated play. Some of the nuances of playing well take time, and it often doesn't feel worth introducing to a player if they aren't going to have the chance to play it multiple times. There are no variable player powers or other randomized elements here, just the shuffling of a deck of cards. But it is amazing, after so many plays, how we still are dealt hands that feel fresh and different, which is a testament to the meaningful variety that stems from the shuffle of the cards.
Tichu has a certain elegance with the relatively simple rules leading to so many unique strategic considerations. The fact that so many different types of sets can be led means that it is common for most cards in your hand to be playable in more than one way. Do you try to play your 3 kings together, or break them up into singles or a pair? The answer depends a lot on the rest of your hand, the way the round plays out, whether someone has called Tichu, where you think the special cards are, etc., etc. It is the strength of this core system that makes it a game that rewards players who play it a lot. The more you deeply understand the nuances of the game, the more fun it is to apply that knowledge play after play.
Not a lot of modern board games use a team versus team structure, and there's a certain fun factor that comes from trying to be on the same wavelength as your partner while still being in a competitive context. We find that there's usually some friendly banter that is enjoyable, but the partnership structure is also directly responsible for some of the interesting decision points in the game, such as, what card do I pass my partner? What do I know about my partner's hand based on what they passed me? And how do I best support my partner while also trying to avoid allowing the other team to achieve double victory? Often it is best for you or your partner to go out first, even if that means the other doesn't go out at all. And that adds an intriguing dynamic to the passing and playing, since you are very limited in what you can communicate to your partner.
And as you play round after round in a race towards 1,000 points, each team always feels like they have a chance due to the nature of the scoring. Double victory ensures that you can score a lot of points without your opponents progressing at all, and adding in Tichu calls opens the door even more to big swings. In fact, players could even choose to call Grand Tichu by declaring Tichu after only seeing their first 8 cards, not only making the bet with less information about their hand, but also raising the stakes to 200 points instead of the normal 100 points. While teams coming back in these situations is often still unlikely, it is fun for it to be a possibility, and we have seen some amazing comebacks be successful many times.
And this is kind of an odd positive, but the way Tichu hands are scored actually makes it so that you can have high confidence that you haven't scored incorrectly. Every hand of Tichu has exactly 100 points in play, with the possibility of a Tichu call adjusting that total by 100. This means that if each team counts up their points, they should always add up to 100, and if they don't, you know you should recount. It's a little thing, but kind of a nice quality since it can be so easy to make scoring mistakes in board games.
There is a very specific scenario where Tichu thrives, and that is with exactly 4 players that know the game well and are of a similar skill level. Depending on your group, this could be a situation you find yourself in often, or it could be a near impossible game to get to the table. But Tichu's strength definitely does not come from being a versatile game across player counts and gaming situations.
While we praised how the scoring system allows for amazing comebacks, it is a double-edged sword in that it also makes it really hard to predict how long a game is going to take. You can have a round of Tichu where very few points are scored, and even rounds where teams go backwards due to failed Tichu calls. In our experience, a full game tends to range anywhere from 30 to 90 minutes. This makes it tricky when you have around an hour to play. Do we have enough time to play Tichu? Maybe? There are simply times where it is inconvenient to not have a good estimate of how long a game will take to play.
The scoring in Tichu also takes a little getting used to. At the end of a round, the player that did not go out gives their 1 tricks to the player that went out first, but their hand always goes to the opposing team. The teams then score all of their 5s, 10s, and kings, with the dragon being 25 points and the phoenix being negative 25 points. We often tell new players to just worry about trying to go out first, and generally the points will shake out all right. but it takes a little while to internalize how those scoring conditions should actually affect your tactical choices during the game. And now let's get to our personal ratings for Tichu.
So for Tichu, I'm going to be coming in at a 9 out of 10. Really, really love Tichu. I think looking at kind of all my board games, definitely my favorite kind of traditional card game that I've played. And there's several reasons for that. One, I think something we would both agree on is we love board games that give us kind of a limited set of resources, and then it's up to us to do the best we can with that. And that's something I really love in Tichu, is especially kind of with the partner element. You're dealt this hand of cards, and to a certain degree, there's luck of, sometimes you get dealt an amazing hand, sometimes you get dealt a terrible hand. But whatever you get dealt, there's that challenge of, how can I best play this? And how can I, if you have an amazing hand, sometimes the tension is, do I call Tichu? So it's not like if you get dealt an amazing hand, it's just all easy. The game gives you opportunity and kind of makes it hard in terms of the decision making. And then if you get dealt a horrible hand, it's like, okay, how do I not go out last?
Yeah, well, and I think the partnership play kind of saves that factor of like the luck of the draw. Because if I get dealt a really bad hand, in some ways, it allows me to very clearly know that I'm in the support role for my partner.
Right.
I know I can give my partner likely my best card, unless I'm like, man, I won't be able to. Sometimes I'm like, I still need to get a lead maybe to be able to help them. But sometimes just knowing that and being able to really commit to that is actually better for your team than if your hand was a little better and you and your partner weren't quite sure, who was maybe going to be more aggressive. So
Right.
I like that like, if it wasn't a partnership game, you get a bad hand. Well, like, too bad.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that is a very cool dynamic.
And it's so satisfying. I think sometimes the most satisfying hands in Tichu are when you get dealt a tough hand, but you and your partner, you obviously you can't talk to your partner, but through the passing, you can just tell you and your partner are kind of, okay, I think I understand what's going on here. Maybe you've got a better hand than I do, and we just play it perfectly, and we salvage what could have been a horrible situation. And sometimes even not scoring a ton of points, but just salvaging a terrible draw can be just as satisfying. And I think that's what's fun, is Tichu is constantly putting you in kind of these different situations of either the aggressive one who has a great hand, or maybe a good hand, and it's, can I stretch it to a Tichu? Do I do that? Do I not? I mean, you're constantly kind of in these interesting decisions. And then obviously, we mentioned earlier, once someone calls Tichu, suddenly you feel the shift at the table. It's like the target gets put on that person, and now everything that you were planning on doing for that round has changed, because now it's number one priority. That person does not go out first.
I mean, it's 100 points.
It's 100
if you can
points.
Stop them.
Right.
Yeah, and I think because usually when you're looking at your hand, it's very much this dynamic of, what are the cards that can get me leads, and what are the cards that I need to get rid of, and do I have enough leads to get rid of the cards? But when somebody calls Tichu, suddenly I may be more willing to play a little more risky, because maybe beating their trick makes it harder on me, but if it can prevent them from making their Tichu, that could be totally worth it. And so it is this tense, like, where is it worth pushing? Because I don't want it to backfire. I could put myself in a really bad place. He could still get the Tichu, and then they now get, double victory because I can't go out.
I've definitely had that happen where I've just like blown up thrown down my best thing, and all I'm left with is low cards just to block someone, and then it backfires, and you're just like, oh no. So I just think, man, in terms of, I mean, if you like, if you've played traditional card games and stuff like that, and you have a group that can do this, I mean, this is just excellent. It just, the dynamic team element is so good. I think the, why isn't Tichu perfect for me is, it is a hard game for new people. And there's kind of several things playing into that. One, that tension of knowing when to play isn't super, into, you don't just figure it out from even being taught the rules. I mean, you really have to kind of almost fail you almost need to have that round where you just beat everything, and then suddenly you're like, oh no, I have is low cards, and you kind of learn, oh, okay, I need to actually save high cards and for how to play it. So that's kind of difficult. I find when playing with new people, calling Tichu is just, they're scared of it because, right, I'm just learning. But if you have a partner who never calls Tichu, that's really bad. And so I try to encourage, if I'm playing with if I have a new partner, I'm like, hey, if you feel like you have a good hand, just go for it. Like I try to encourage, it's okay. There's times I call Tichu and it doesn't work out. And then I think just that the whole scoring, I mean, I still don't love just the whole 5-10s kings, this like weird element of, you kind of are paying attention to it and you're kind of not. I don't know. It's just I think for especially new players, it's a little confusing of like, okay, should I only be focusing on 5s, 10s, and kings, or should I going out for, I think all of that, it just gets a little confusing specifically for new players. But man, you have that group that plays it over and over again, and it just is fantastic. So 9 out of 10 for me. Ryan, I'm actually really curious where you're going to be coming in for Tichu.
Yeah, I've played this almost 3 times more.
Yeah, you've played a lot of Tichu.
Yeah, so I had a stretch when I was in college that we had the group, and that was like the go-to after classes back at the apartment game. And so we hammered out a lot of plays during that stretch. And I am actually coming in also at a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
Which, you were talking about like, why isn't, what keeps it from being a 10? In my mind, it's less about that and more about like, isn't it impressive that this little card game is beating out a lot of, because we tend to be drawn more to these more strategic resource management, a lot more going on, at least component wise. So the fact that Tichu, I mean, it is held in my rankings. I mean, we've had it for like 12 years now.
Yeah.
And it has been consistent over many, many plays. I had the opportunity not that long ago to teach it to some new players, and it reminded me how difficult it is to teach. I think I kind of forgot.
Yeah.
But as I'm teaching it, I'm trying to give little nuggets of like, these are the things you should be thinking of. And as we go on and on, I'm like realizing, man, I'm giving a lot of nuggets. Like there's just a lot of little things I think of.
Point,
and I'm like,
it's too many nuggets. Too many nuggets.
Like, this is probably a little overwhelming as far as like your first play. And oftentimes it's nice to like play a hand without the special cards.
Yeah.
And, okay, you get the basics now. Here are the special cards in. But it's like, I want to teach this game to new people, especially people that I know. It's like, man, they would love this game. But it's the question of, are they going to have the opportunity to play it repeatedly? And that's where it's difficult. I mean, I don't get to play Tichu very often these days. When I do, it's when there's like the 6 people in my life that are the heavy Tichu players. Some of them are from that college group. And so it's like, if we happen to have 4 of us that are all within that group, we're like, hey, we could do Tichu today.
Yeah.
And we always have a really good time, but it isn't one that often is making it out with new I mean, there's so many other games I'm going to get to the table if it's someone new, especially if I don't think they're going to get to play the game again or play it soon. But it is just absolutely fantastic. I mean, when it comes to a traditional style card game, like you could argue it's like a 10 in that niche for me. Like it is exactly what I want in that. And if I have 4 players and want to play that type of game, I'm not looking for any other games to add to my collection. Like Tichu is that game.
Yeah.
And I've just had so many fun experiences with it. Amazing comebacks. That feeling of when you have a game that's like 900, you're both in the 900s.
Oh my gosh.
The tension going into those last rounds.
It's incredible.
Like, suddenly some of these decisions that we've talked about being, tense, tough decisions, like, do I call Tichu? Like, do you have the cojones to, at 950, in a close game, throw down 100 points that's probably going to decide the game?
Oh my god!
And like, I love it.
I don't.
Usually don't. But so fun. And I mean, we don't usually in reviews talk about pricing of games, because typically that's like a different valuation from like what we think of the game. But it is worth calling out. It's a cheap game. I mean, I don't think they sell the edition we have anymore, but when we got it, it was like $10 to get, and it comes with 2 decks. It's
two decks, right?
It's like, my goodness, have I gotten the value?
I know, if we calculate is that the best value? And
hours per player.
It's really is amazing how many times we've played it, and the fact that there's not a lot of like, it's not like there's like variable setup. You're playing with the same deck every time, and yet I still have situations in Tichu that I'm like, wow. This is really this is unique. Like, it just puts you in new things that I think has really helped with its longevity.
Yeah, I've multiple times seen the legendary someone leads their whole hand.
Yeah,
like they have the full straight from one to and just done
every time. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's great stuff. If you're listening to this, you probably have a pretty good idea if you would like it. But that's ultimately what we want to try to help you decide. We love it, but is it a game for you?
If you don't have a group of exactly 4 players who'll be able to play together consistently, then it may be hard to get the best experience out of Tichu.
But if you enjoy classic card games with trick-taking or climbing mechanisms, you love exploring games that reveal their depth over repeated plays, and you have at least 3 like-minded friends, Tichu is a game that has been a staple in our group for over a decade.
If Tichu sounds like a game you want to check out, we've got a link to it down below, and we've got a couple more videos here, and we will see you in the next one.